to dream.
Hello, this is Barbara Beckley with the Coaches Lounge with Paulette Harper. Now, I am so elated right now because this lady I've been knowing, I feel I've known her for a long time. We haven't known her that long, but I feel like she's been this true friend of mine for a long period of time. And I'm so glad. And this just shows you that networking and meeting people, you never know how those collaboration partnerships are gonna happen. And myself and this queen, because I call Lady Queens, that we have partnership in a lot of areas. She has helped me out tremendously, and I hope I helped her out tremendously because I don't want to say that and she'd be like, "Well, Barbara, I don't know if you helped me out." So I want to make sure that it's neutral because we have to have a win-win. So I want bringing her on the show because this woman, she's a certified business coach, she's a publisher, she's a podcaster, she's an international speaker, award-winning author, and the list goes on. So I had to bring her and I asked her, I said, I want you to come to the Coaches Lounge because I know you have a lot of knowledge and expertise that you can share with the viewers under the Coaches Lounge. Because one thing I want to start this platform because I feel like the coaches doesn't get their just due. A lot of times, we interview the speakers and the authors and everybody like that. But then the coaches, those are the ones that help the speakers and the authors and everybody. So I'm so glad that you are on the Coaches Lounge. Thank you, Paulette Harper. How are you doing today?
I'm doing, excuse me, I'm doing well, Barbara. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited about being on the Coaches Lounge today.
Yes, yes. So you are the expert, you're the queen, and we're just going to go right into it because, like I always say, when I get with especially the queens that I love so much, we just have a conversation. But through that conversation, I always want to make sure we're building a relationship and you're understanding these women and men that I bring on the show. So I know just before we start, because I know you're a certified business coach, you're a creative coach, you're a podcaster, like I said, you're an international speaker, and you're a publisher, and you help other people become authors. So I just want to know because that all didn't start just like yesterday. What made you say I wanted to grab hold of this, and then what makes you do this for individuals in the world?
Yeah, excuse me, Barbara. So I started out just as a writer. Excuse me. I started out as a writer, and from there, other people began to ask me how to publish, and then from there, it just grew into me coaching them. And so over the years, my businesses have just, evolved around the needs of others coming to me and asking me, can you show me and teach me what you do? And so I have just been able to do that over the course of the years, go from coaching authors to wanting to help, excuse me, I'm sorry, wanting to help entrepreneurs start their businesses as well. And so that's where the business coaching came into existence. And then helping authors not only learn how to publish their books, but helping them become published authors and best-selling authors in my book collaborations as well.
Wow. So I know you said you wanted, to help because people were like, I need help with this to get pen to paper. I always tell people with their stories. Now, I know you're also a certified business coach and creative coach. So I believe that all comes into play when you're working on publishing books. So how do you kind of, sort that out with the individuals that you work with?
Yeah, both of them do come into play. When it comes to being the creativity story coach, that's the part of me that is the publishing side. So I teach authors that piece of how to become their own publisher. A lot of aspiring authors, emerging authors, they want to write their own books, their own solo projects, but a lot of them don't know how. And so those of them that don't want to invest in a coach, you'll see them going inside the different groups and Googling and YouTubing and asking all kind of questions, and they're going to get so many different answers, and it's very confusing. And so where I come in, my coaching, my story coaching is taking them through. I have two programs that I offer. It is a 90-day program and then also a 6-month program. And just depending on where they are in their publishing journey and their writing journey, if they've written a manuscript and they're stuck and don't know that process, then they, will go through my 90-day program. But if they have an idea and they've never, outlined it, they don't know how to, do their chapters and get clarity on their topic, then they go through my 6-month program. So that's the story coaching. And then when it comes to the business side of it, the business coaching, I want to help entrepreneurs, create their businesses to go beyond the book. And so in order to go beyond the book, it really is building a business from their book and having the author look at it, that it's more than a book. It's more than just writing a story. You're building a business. And how do I do that? How do I set up my business structure where either I decide I'm going to be a, LLC or a solopreneur or whatever the case may be. I mean, and so I help them decide on those avenues to take and how to not commingle their money and set up their business accounts and that business side of them, that they really are entrepreneurs. And what that looks like for them, and so it's, beyond the book, because to be honest with you, we won't make a whole lot of money selling their books, but it's in our services. And I try to get them to go beyond the book and find a service that they can offer, their clients, their readers, in a way that it's going to really take them to another level and take their readers or, another level with them as well.
Well, I like how you said, because, with the book, because, it's really exciting when, especially when you get the first time authors too, because that's their really first time. But I like how you take it and say, you know what, this is just not just a book. You're writing a book that's wonderful. You're making a difference. You're showing people, you're connecting. But the business aspect, see, so I like how you package this and what your expertise is, and said, now I'll show you different ways how to maneuver and put that out there so you can start, basically, I'm just going to put it out there, start making a profit, from that book, from that book, because it's not just the book. And I, like somebody told me a long time ago when I wrote my first book, they said, Barbara, it's nice, you have credibility, you're reaching out to people, but it's not going to pay your salary or what you're trying to do, because you can sell a whole bunch of books and still, but you have to use that tool, like you said, in different ways. So I love how you help individuals do that. Now I want to read your mission, because I love how you put this. You say your mission is to help women find hope through transformation, restoration, and reclaiming their lives via workshops, conferences, and seminars. And that really stuck out to me about helping people find their hope. So I want to ask you, because I know, when you have a mission, especially with your business, you're always going back to that mission when you're doing things to make sure, you're on track. So how do you feel that vision, that mission of helping individuals concerning finding their hope in what you do?
Yeah, for me, it was because I've been there. I've been in a place where my testings in life and my trials that I had gone through left me at a place of trying to determine what my purpose was. And so once I rediscovered what God had called me to do, apart from, what I had anticipated for my own life, it's really about taking that process and moving forward to rediscovering that there is hope after divorce, there's hope after loss, there's hope after any kind of test or trial that you've gone through. And so for the women that I come in contact with, it's really instilling in them and empowering them to know that there is another chapter, for their lives. There is something else that they are designed and assigned to do, and they just have to find out what that is. And so that's the hope piece. That's bringing them to a place that, what, all is not lost, that they can still find some sense of purpose for living and doing something that is fulfilling for them, and then helping them determine what that fulfillment is, and then going and trying to find how to, fulfill those purposes that God has called them to fulfill.
And I love how you take that, because I know you're transforming them just from you, first of all, going to them saying, you can do this, and you can write your chapter or book, or either or. And I think that gives them the hope. I think it starts, like you said, it starts that process, and you walk them through it. You walk them through that.
Yeah, you talk about the transformation, and that's really what it's about. It's that transformation, because up until then, they're inspired, but inspiration doesn't bring transformation. Transformation comes when you apply what you've learned, and so when they can have that transformation, and it can be, manifested in actionable steps that they can take to, go through a process of rediscovery, or whatever the case may be. But it is about the transformation, because that when you have a transformation, it's really hard to convert or to go back to the way things were, because you have experiencing something new. You have new results that you are attaining. You have new goals that you've set, and that you're aspiring to do something you've never done before. So it's really the power in the transformation.
Oh, you said it. You were right. Oh, oof, you hit that. Especially when you said that, because once it's like you said, once you do that transformation, it's hard to go back, because you've changed your whole mindset, mind, soul, and body. And then to say, okay, let me go back to that don't even sound, I mean, when you think about it, it doesn't sound right. So, no, I like this. This is good. I needed this. I'm seeing the difference in my life. Why would I want to go back?
Yeah.
Why would I want to go back? So yeah, then the healing process comes through. All that comes through that, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. That's the part of bringing the hope, because you want to bring people to a place that they've never experienced before. And so, when can offer them something that they've never had before, never experienced before, and when they taste it and know that this is better than where they were, there's absolutely no way you would go back to that. You would keep progressing. You would keep attaining and trying to achieve greater goals and set higher standards for yourself, and and move to a place, to your next level, your next dimension, whatever that is for you, and whatever that looks like.
And you just, like you said, you just want to just go elevate and get more and more and more of it. Once, like you said, you got that little taste. I like that. You get a taste. Like, I think I like this. This is pretty good. This is looking good for me in my life. So, and that's a huge thing that you're doing, going back to the coaching aspect of it, as being that coach. A lot of people, I know people use that word a lot nowadays. I hear that a lot about coaching. But when you're talking about transformation and helping somebody get to the one extreme to the next in their lives, that is very powerful. And that's a really pivot point for being a coach. And I love how you really obtain that in what you do and what your services are. I think that's what makes the difference with a lot of the coaches. Because if you don't see that transformation, it's kind of like, well, what are you really doing? Well, how are you helping them?
Yeah. And that's why people pay me to help them with the transformation, because they want to get to a certain place. When I'm doing book coaching and people are hiring me to show them how to publish, they're looking at the fact that, they're going to write their book, and that they're going to learn how to publish it themselves. And that in itself is powerful. And it's empowering to them, because they've never been there. They didn't know that they could do it. They didn't know that they could, it's deep within them as far as writing the book. But then the other part of that they don't know is the publishing side of it. And so when they can get to a place where they go through the whole process and the whole program, and at the end of it, they have a book in their hands, a book that they have published, and they have become their own publisher, it brings them a sense of confidence, of power, of endurance, and then they're able to go and then help somebody else go through that same transformation as well.
Yes, it's a huge fulfilling in your life when you deal with that, and then sometimes you don't realize it. Like you said, you're taking them through now in the back of your mind, because you're being that coach mindset. It's like a little head of, I know this person's going to change in some type of way.
Yeah.
I know she's going to get this, he or she's going to get this healing, but they have to realize it. And that's when you help them along the way. And I think that's the exciting part. I always get so excited when I see, like I tell people, when you can see the light bulb come in there in their mind saying they got it. or
Yeah.
that's it right there, or there's that change, So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
very powerful, very
Yes,
powerful.
it is. It's very empowering.
Now I want to ask you a little bit more, Miss Queen. With the world has changed within 2 years and a half now. We've been going through the pandemic. I'm gonna say real low because we're not gonna put that out there. But I know there's been some challenges. Okay, I'm gonna put challenges. Because you're talking about hope now. We're not talking about not having hope. And
Yeah.
a lot of people, some of the hope, some of the people they lost it a little bit, a lot. I'm gonna say a lot. Some people have. Some people got a little depressed in certain areas. All that's going on, and not really understanding what step to take.
Yeah.
Should they tell their story? What should they do? They've been kind of in that mode. So, you being that coach, that business coach, that creative coach, how would you, just like one piece of advice, just one thing that you would give somebody with that type of challenge right now?
This is, there's no better time to write your story. And so, if people are still waiting for a perfect time, a perfect opportunity, it's never going to come, and so you have to take seize the moments that we're in, share your story, and then, do the necessary work to get it done and get it published, because there's somebody waiting on your story. There's somebody that your story is just really going to help get them to their next level. And you want to learn how to just write your way to success. And that's really what it's about, writing your way to success. And what does that look like? Sharing your story and knowing that your story is going to make a difference in someone else's life. And, like I said, there's no better time to do it. It's just do it, get the clarity you need on the story and the topic you want to write, outline it, find somebody, a coach to help you with that process so that you're doing the right thing, and you're not spinning your wheels, wondering if you're doing the right thing. A coach will help you and give you the assurance that, yeah, you're doing the right thing, because that coach has proven themselves to you based on their own track record that they have had as well.
Yeah. I did a little tip. You said, get that coach that can help you. I'm like, just pointing. Paulette, she can do it. She can do it. She showed us. But I just had to put that out there because I just love what you do. And I see, when you see the work that you do and you put in a lot of time and you have, you care. And see, I always tell people, when you have that heart of gold and you care about people, that's how it's so easy for the transformation to come, because you have invested interest in it because you care so much. You have that heart. So I commend you for that. That's a big plus for you. Now talk about that. Talk about the big plus you have, because it's unique. The question I do want to ask you too, because there is a lot of business coaches out there. There's a lot of publishers, but what makes you different that the client will say, I want to choose Paulette Harper?
Yeah, when it comes to business coaching, my niche is entrepreneurs. It's taking someone that is just starting their business and helping them through that process. I try to focus in on taking from for instance, the author from where she is to being a coach, and whatever her expertise is or his expertise is in that area that they've written their book. And so for me, just knowing that it's entrepreneurs, it's business owners who are just starting out. They don't know really the ins and outs of establishing their business. And and I'm a prime example for that, because when I wrote my book, I didn't realize at the time that I was becoming an entrepreneur. I was starting a business. It took me a minute to realize, oh, I have a business, and that mindset shift has to happen, that you're not just, writing a book, you're building a business. And what does that business look like? I have to set, my accounting structure in. I have to keep receipts, I have to do certain things that's going to make me, align my business, up correctly. So for me, it's really taking the time and the care to, really, show my clients what it is that they need to do, and then really giving them the assurance that, it can be done. And so, after the process and you go through the, the program and the coaching, at the end of the day, you're going to receive what you've paid me to the place where you paid me to get you to. You're going to receive that and then some.
Yes. And like I said, and just adding, like you said, that heart that you have for people, that just makes it more powerful. So I see the difference, between you to sizing up to anybody else. And, and then when the end of the day, I always say is that, no, you have certain people that you touch, other coaches will, touch those,
Right.
and so on. I mean, there's 7.5 billion people in the world. I keep telling people that. Why are we all trying to, they're going to resonate with you, and that's when you work with those individuals. Yes, and that's where that's how it makes it with that's how the transformation thing happens too, because they resonate with you and what you're giving them, what you're helping them with. So
Yeah, I totally agree with you. There is there are people that we are assigned to. There are people who will, use my services and come to me because they're called to me. They're assigned to me, and there are other people who are not, and I'm okay with that, because I want to work with people who hear my voice, who can take, my instructions, and who can apply them. I did a post one day. I said it's no greater joy for a coach to see when their client applies what they have been, taught and instructed, because you see the fruit of it. You see that they are, they're using what you've showed them, taught them, and they're applying it, and they're going to get the results out of it. And that brings a lot of joy to any coach when they see their student doing those things.
You're so right, because I know when I'm showing people on my end, when I do my coaching, and when I see them apply it, and then I see that, how it's enlivened up in their lives, and they see that it works, that gets you excited as a coach. You'd be like, it's working. And you're applying yourself, because that's the whole thing. We can, like you, and you probably had, I know a lot of clients where you can coach and tell them and explain to them and give them information and tip and all of that. But they don't apply it. This is really important. Then you can do so much. You can do so much. You can give and say and everything else. So that's one thing that's one thing that's a challenge sometimes with some people, is that they don't apply, and then they're like, okay, it didn't work. Well, you didn't apply. You didn't do it. Gave you the tools, like you say, you gave the tools.
Exactly.
So now I want to say, this is one of my fun questions I always ask when I'm having conversations with the queens is, because you have a superpower. Every woman, and we'll say women because I'm talking to a queen right now, you have a superpower. Now I want you got a lot of them, but I need you just to say one. I know you got a lot on the list, but I need you to just talk about one that helps you with what you do and your clients.
I think my superpower really is, when it comes to, authors, it's really helping them see that they are capable and able to write their story, and then to really empower them, to show them how to do it. And so, because if I can't do that, then I'm ineffective at being an author's coach. So I have to have the ability to show them that they have the words within them, they have the power within them, and encourage them enough to show them how to go about doing it. And so I think, for me, that's the edge that I have, with the authors that I work with, just really showing them, that you have it, you have it in you. Let me show you how to pull it out of you, and then how to structure your book in a way that you know exactly how your book is going to flow and how it's going to be structured.
Yes. Awesome. See, I mean, you got a lot of superpower, but I'm loving that one because it is so important. Again, going back to the coaching, that that that's pulling, and you see it. Like I said, as you foresee things, before they even see it, because you've been there. You've been through with people and what they do. So, I love the superpower that you have. Well, just one of them. There's, like I said, there's a lot. So now what I want to do, Queen, is I'm going to take myself down for just 30 seconds. And I want you just to leave any last, little golden nuggets that you want to leave for the viewers. And I'll be right back.
Well, I would really just like to encourage those of you who are listening and you kind of wonder if you can do this thing, if you can write your book, if you can, start your business. Let me tell you something. Yes, you can. There's no greater time to start writing. There's no greater time to, start your business, because there's somebody waiting for you. What I did was I wrote my way to success. And that's what you need to do. Write your way to success. It's one story to reach one customer, one reader at a time, and you have it within you. And so those of you who are just kind of, wondering where the resources and the finances are going to come, just do it. Just, take this first step. And get your book written, and then all the resources and everything that you need will, be at your disposal. It really will. But you have to do it first, and have that encouragement and be encouraged in this process. And so that's what I would just share with you, to just go ahead and do it, get started, because there's somebody waiting for you and waiting for you to shine.
Amazing, awesome, tremendous, any kind of adjective I can think of. You're just great, Paulette Harper. And I just thank you again for coming on the Coaches Lounge show. And just give the viewers how they can contact you. And I'll make sure that is posted when we post the interview.
Yeah, so they can contact me on my website, which is pauletteharper.com. I am on Facebook as Pastor Paulette Harper, also known as Pastor P, Twitter, IG, and then also Clubhouse as Paulette Harper as well.
So she's all over, people. She's all over. And if you miss some of that, contact me and I'll make sure that she gets your information, because that's what collaboration's all about. So again, thank you so much for coming on the Coaches Lounge, Paulette, and it's just giving your expertise, your wisdom, your knowledge. And, I always tell people, take those little nuggets that you receive from experts like Paulette and put it into action. Like she said, it can just sit there, just you thinking about it. But when you start putting it to action, that's when the transformation happens, as we said. So thank you so much again on the Coaches Lounge, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Queen. Bye-bye.
business and, being on the assembly line, what we're really doing is putting in hundreds of hours into the people on the streets who need us. And they need us in a way that none of us will ever understand. And for the last couple of weeks, I've been on the grounds every day. They know we're coming today, they know we're coming tomorrow, and they look forward to seeing us because we're the one little bit of hope that they have to have a warm meal in their bellies and to know that somebody in the world is actually caring for them and loving them. And without people like you showing up today to give your time, your energy, and your spirit, none of this is possible. So I want to really say thank you to everyone, because what we're doing here today may seem small, but it's actually really, really big, and it's impacting hundreds and thousands of families. So I thank you, I love you, I look forward to doing this with you today. My name is Serena Buffalino, and I am the founder of Help Heal Humanity. Help Heal Humanity is a charity that is focused on unconditional giving, love, and support to some of the most vulnerable communities in the world.
Good morning. We are back. We are back. What a wonderful interview I had with Paulette Harper. She is just golden to me, which is all, I always call the women queens because I look at women as royalty. I really do. I work with women, I help them with their visibility in social media and just really dig out their gifts and what they do for the world. So that's just, to me, that's puts a smile on my face. I mean, you know how people say, what would you do in life where you wasn't even thinking about currency, you wasn't even thinking about getting paid for it? Well, that's something that I would do for the rest of my life, is helping individuals, especially women, to really focus on their true purpose and then bringing it out to light to others so we can help each other. And that's what it's all about. And that's one of the reasons why one of the shows under the Diamond Factor Network that I basically hold and produce is to, one of the things is this coaching lounge show, because I really want to push coaches and consultants to come on so they can help and describe what they do, because we need you. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't be where they're at now if it wasn't for coaches. So that's why I love bringing on these lovely people to the show, and you get to know them, build that little relationship, and then what do I always say? Reach out to them. Reach out. So we have another queen in the house that I'm so delighted to have. I've been looking forward to this particular conversation because I don't call them interviews, I call them conversations. And when I was I like to look at what they do and their bio. Of course, you want to get to know the person even before they come on. And I didn't know she was a candidate for Washington State governor. I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is like celebrity status at its best. And I'm just so glad to have her on my show. I was like, okay, well, what do I need to do? I need to kind of clear up some things. Let me get my video together and everything, because this is a lady that I just already is inspiring me and motivating me already, just reading what she does. And Ilona Kerning. I hope I said her last name right. She'll correct me, and I'll tell her to correct me because I hate messing up names. She, first of all, she's an Army vet, so thank you, lady, for serving our country. I always say that. Always, that's like a queen of queens now, right? Okay. She's a self-published author. She's a motivational speaker. She's, like I said, she's a candidate for Washington State governor. Oh my God! And then through all of that, she's a forgiveness coach. And provides innovation learning processes and commits to journey for personal growth for people. So you can see why she's being a candidate for the governor, because look at what she does. She just does magic. I mean, there's magic there. But I can't bring her on just to say, here she's on the screen. I got to do it right. So we'll be back in 1 second because I got to do her justice. And here we go. Uh-oh. There she is. Oh my
Hello.
God. How are you doing this morning, Queen?
I'm doing great, and you?
I am this is
Yeah.
blowing my mind right now. I'm just letting you know.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me have you here. This is so amazing, amazing. So first of all, lady, congratulations on basically making a change. I always say when you start looking at politics and kind of looking more into that aspect, because it's a huge step. I tell the people. I mean, I'll be
Yeah.
there. I'm always the cheerleader. I'm the person that will be there in your corner, be on your team. I don't think I would be like the person doing it. So that's why I give you so much kudos for that. So I want to put that out there first for, thank you for serving, first of all, being a veteran, for serving this country, and then also for taking on and say, you know what, I think I want to do a little bit more here and get into the politics arena. So
Yes.
wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I want to start out because I know there's a lot to uncover here on the wrap. So the first thing I want to ask, because this is the coaching lounge, so I want to kind of get a little into your coaching part of it, what you do, and then we can kind of talk about some things, got you to the point of, going for the governor and some other things that you want to talk about. So I always ask my wonderful queens that come on is, we don't always start off by, oh, we're this wonderful published author, we went in the army, did all this stuff. It's something started you to get to that point where you wanted to probably help others and get to this, basically, like you said, forgiveness coaching, which is very important for people to get through. So just give us a little backstory of that.
Okay. Well, a lot of people issues tend to be, what is our purpose? We think that we don't know what our purpose is, or what we do is too small or insignificant. And, I was at that place for the longest, when you graduate and you're trying to go into adulthood and adulting. And when I was young, and I talk about all of these things in my book, I have no problem with being transparent, because I am not ashamed of my past, and nobody will victim shame me either. So I'm not that person that I'm going to hide or hold back. So when I was growing up, I was suicidal, and a lot of people would probably think, like, why would a child be so suicidal at 3 years old? And, and some people would think, oh, can't remember back that far. But when I was older and 13 and I was going through therapy, I was in a hospital for suicide and depression. So when I was going through therapy, I was like, every time I would wake up like with these dreams that feel like I was there, like it was just yesterday. And my mom would confirm to the therapist that, no, those are actual places we live. That incident did happen. So the things that happened to me as a child happened on a childhood level. So when I was left at home, I thought I was left at home for hours and hours on end. But for my parents, it's like, no, they weren't left at home that long. But in a child's mind, that's not, it's a long time. So when we see things from a child view, that starts to create the foundation of our perception of life, who we are in life, and how those things, how we see ourselves in this world. And one incident was like, I remember my dad and my mom in an argument, and my dad throwing something. And so to me as a child, I thought it was something I did. It was my fault. And I would go in the closet and I would beat myself in the head with my mom's high heel shoes because they were always arguing. So I just would always take it upon myself at 3 years old to think that, and I probably was doing it younger than then, but 3 years old was when I, remember a lot of things. And so I grew up with the mindset of always trying to be perfect and that I was never good enough. So anything went wrong. If I got a B on my test, I was an A student. So if I got a B, I would go into my room and nobody knew. I would self-cut or write on my face hateful things with my mom's makeup. And so I was taking it my own way that I had started to perceive myself in this world, because nobody was actually guiding me. And, I know back in those days, parents didn't have a lot of, what you say, parenting classes, or didn't believe it, like it was like, I'm gonna spank you kind of thing. And I was the type of child, if you would have just taught me and just told me, I would have tried, because I was trying to be a perfectionist. So when I was being, spanked, it was being taken in a different perception of, I was promoting my own self abuse, my own self sabotage thinking, and everything. And even to the point to where when I got older, I wish bad things to happen myself. Like, why aren't these bad things? Maybe I deserve this bad thing because I'm cursed, type thing. And when I would hear pastors get up, or like motivational speakers get up and say, just do it, just get over it, and it seemed like I struggled at just getting over it. I felt like maybe God didn't like me and I wasn't good enough, and he forgives everybody but me, so I was just destined to go to hell. So that's how my mind was for the longest. Even when I joined the military, my mindset wasn't, I'm joining the military because I want to get a good job. I want to, the schooling and all of that. Mine was, okay, I'm going to be near a gun so I can commit suicide in here. And when I got there, it was, they call it Hell Week, the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
So when I got in there and started doing Hell Week, I forgot totally that I was there to commit suicide. Now I'm like this fighter, this warrior. Like, oh.
I was gonna say, just I don't mean to cut you off because I want to continue, but I'm so, well, this is weird to say this, but I'm so glad you had that week, because it stopped you from thinking about, basically the other thing that you were thinking about doing, about, taking your life. And so glad that didn't happen. So continue.
So when I I still had suicidal thoughts here and there, and like some attempts here and there, and I would have what do you say, people who would place small seeds in my life. Like my first sergeant would always tell me, you need to stop trying to fight every battle. It's not about the battle, it's about the war that you want to win. Because I was always on the defense. I would it was kind of like I had a disrespect for authority, but it was more of, I felt like people didn't see me. Type thing. And when I was pregnant in the military, and so in the military you have to fill out this pregnancy parent plan, where you give up custody of your child if you're a single parent, to be able to go overseas without your child. And so I wouldn't fill that out, so I had to get out before my time, so I didn't get to complete my full 4 years. And when I got out, the only thing at that time was not about fighting for myself. It was more of, if I commit suicide, then these kids will grow up feeling the pain that I feel in depression, and I never want anybody to ever feel what I feel. And so it was crazy, because when I would pray, look, God, if it's meant for my kids to go to hell, let me go to hell for them. That was my prayer at first. It was like, like, forgive them forever, and let me take, for whatever, let me take all their sins, whatever, it was always that, and I would take it upon myself. And then one day I started noticing that I wasn't suicidal anymore. And I think it was because I was constantly fighting to live for them. And then later I started saying, wait a minute, how come I'm willing to go to hell for them? Why does anybody have to go to hell? You know? So then it's like, how come I can't feel good about myself and just, pray that we all go to heaven kind of thing.
Yeah, this is
And
all.
and so then it just started changing my whole mindset, even to the point of like how I thought of heaven and hell, that hell is really more the hell that we put in our minds, that that's what tortures you and torments you on a day-to-day basis. And then even then I started like, well, then what is my purpose? Because now when I was parenting, because I started homeschooling my kids because my son had been bullied. We were on the news because he was being bullied, and they Baker acted him, which is where they put him in a mental health hospital. But there was nothing wrong with him. It was really in retaliation to me because I was fighting the school about the bullying and not doing anything. So they took him from me. And he was not suicidal, but it was just to punish me, to try to get me to shut up. So when I got him back, I was like, I'm homeschooling my kids. Nobody will ever make my kids feel the way I felt, growing up. So when I was homeschooling, I could see that my son was starting to get depressed. And then it was like I had to be there for him. And, it was like as a parent, you hurt when you see your kids hurting and you want to fix it. And he was like, Mom, fix it. He want me to fix it. And I said, I can't fix it. And it would hurt me and I would cry with him. I'm like, I can't fix it. It's something that you have to go through. You have to feel this, but you have to also grieve this. And then in that is when I learned that why I would still be suicidal after someone's motivational speaking, which was the definition of forgiveness I never really understood what forgiveness was. So,
That now
and
that's I'm glad that just I want to pin that right there. It's so important that understanding that, because a lot of people can say, well, just forgive, or like you said with the motivational speakers, because we all listen to them, and they say,
yes,
just do it, just move forward, and some people are like, okay, yeah, and then you have the ones like yourself and me. That's why I'm resonating with you so much with all your stories, because I'm with you. It's like we're sisters from a different mother. um, what's going on with, I was bullied, all that stuff was happening to me too, and the suicide thinking and everything. So how do you go beyond, even though people telling you, like you said, there's certain things you need to do, and you're still struggling. You were
yeah.
still struggling, and sometimes people don't understand that. So did it start off with the, like you said, the forgiveness? Did it start off with having to forgive maybe yourself, or where do you start? That's the question.
Um, you know, I would say it really started forgiving everything around me
Okay.
and my perception of the world and how I saw myself in the world. So the way I describe forgiveness, where I learned in that moment with my son, and where I would tell my son was, forgiveness is like, I buy this house and let's say I don't like this color on the wall. Now I have to accept that that color is there because it's there. I can't do anything about it. So your past is there. It happened. You can't change it and things. But what I can do is disapprove or approve of it. So if I approve of it, that means I allow it to continue to be there. If I disapprove of it, I'm going to go buy paint or hire somebody to come and change the color of that paint to something that I like. Now, in our lives, we have people who we're constantly approving of. We have to accept what they've done in the past, but moving forward, we're constantly approving of them to continually mistreat us or disrespect, who we are. And that's because number one, we haven't set boundaries, and we don't get taught that when we're growing up to set boundaries. So one of my topics in a book that I've been taking forever to write, which is when I was raising my kids, I never taught my kids to share. I don't teach my kids to share because when we were growing up, it was always, oh, share, that's your cousin. Oh, let them have it. And when the other kid breaks it or somebody else, disrespects your favorite toys or things and you grow up, then what does it become? Oh, that's your uncle. Let him borrow the car. And then he's known for
Mm,
wrecking and totaling cars. And guess who ends up having to pay that? You do. So I
mhm,
didn't teach my kids to share because that's a line of boundaries. So what I
mhm,
would do was I would take my kids to, like, we go to the thrift store or something and we make a community box. That means these are things that we have to share because this is community. But when it's your own private and your own personal, what's in your room is your private and your personal. You might want to share that with your best friend that you know is responsible, but everybody doesn't have access to that. That's
mhm,
intimate. That is yours, and that is your right to say no.
mhm,
And so that was like my first way of teaching them boundaries. But then I also had to teach myself boundaries with other people because sometimes it was hard for me to say no because it was family. And then, like you have your own, like if you're the type of, like I was always homeschooling. So everybody feel like you're at home. You have the time to rip and run up and down
mm,
everybody's appointment. Oh, come pick me up. Can you go get my kids? Oh, I don't have time to do this. But it means I don't have time to do any of my stuff because I did everybody else's. And it was family. And so I
mhm,
had to start setting boundaries. No, no, I'm
mhm,
not sitting here asking everybody else to run around and take care of my responsibilities of adulting, So I
mhm,
started setting those boundaries. And when I started setting those boundaries at first, yes, it's hard because you feel like people are going to isolate you or reject you. And they might
mhm,
have a little attitude at first, but guess what? They end up coming around. They
yeah,
end up respecting that and saying, oh, that's just Ilona. That's
yeah,
Ilona. And
yeah.
everybody knows to respect that.
And I was going to say too, Alona, that even if they, and this is, I got to this point in my life, even if they don't come back around or don't understand, I had to say that's okay for myself because I have to set these boundaries for me, and that's not being selfish. That's just basically getting yourself together, mindset and everything, and what you need to do, so you can be the extra to help others. Because like you said, if you're so busy, yeah, I'll do everything I do. Because I was that person too. I was saying yes to everybody and everything. And in my mind, I look back in my mind like, Barbara, how was you doing? You couldn't even do all that. What was you doing?
Right.
I said, what?
Yes.
But and then everybody even knew. And then what's the bad part about it? When you say all those yeses all the time, other people will start telling other individuals, "Oh yeah, she'll say yes. Just ask her. She'll do it. She'll do anything you want her to do." That kind of stuff started happening. So it continued that little snowball effect. But
And the other
you
thing too about that was
it
I
did.
would also let people know that, like, if they gave their time to, let's say, some so and so was an enemy of mine, they like didn't like me, they were always doing things to try to mess up things in my life, and the person wanted, like a friend of mine wanted to help me to help them. Oh, can you run and do this for my kids because so and so needs me to go do this for them? And I said no, because now I feel like that person is still getting the advantage of using me, but through you.
Mhm.
So if you're gonna do for them, you go do for them. But I'm not helping them and making it easy for them when they're over here trying to destroy my life. And I don't think of
Mhm.
it as being nasty, but as respect, because some people I consider, there's people who are nasty people because they've had a hard time in life and they're struggling, and I can understand those people and I can point those people out. But then there are people who are just flat out evil, and that
Yeah.
they have no intentions of changing. That's their character. That's who they are in this life. They come to be that person to be that in your
And it's
life.
and it's really sad that you do have like I tell people, and I tell especially the young, I call them the youngies, the young people in life, that you're going to have those type of people, and you're going to have to get through that and maneuver and say to yourself, I had to be okay, because like I always tell people, you control your inner peace. You can control
Yeah.
that. Some people don't think you can, but you really can control it, because you can
Yeah.
put those boundaries up, like you said, and say, I have to say no to this because this is going to be detrimental for me right now. And I need to move on in life without, going through the cycle of what we went through,
Yes.
so definitely. So now, Ilona, now I want to get into, now since you went through, I'm loving your backstory, and again, kudos to you. Just awesomeness to get
Thank
through
you.
all that. Now, once you did all that, started the forgiveness coaching part of it. So when did you start that part?
The forgiveness coaching started actually, I call myself this free spirited person or freelancer because I'm not one that I have like a just a office or I do one thing because I move in seasons.
Mhm.
So like this painting right here behind me, as you'll
Yeah,
see, I
beautiful.
painted that during the pandemic and it
Oh,
took me
wow.
4 months to paint that.
That's beautiful.
So it's like I also keep a peace and a sanctuary about myself and
Mhm.
things that I enjoy doing because I'm also a songwriter and
Mm.
and when I see a need or someone, contacts me, oh, can you help me this? So I don't take on like a lot at once. I what is it? I pace myself out. And it's not because I can't handle more, but it's because I believe in enjoying life to its fullest.
Yes. Yes.
And and
Yes.
so when I when I
And that's it.
say
That's it. The
the
sun's
sun is
shining
starting
on
to
because you're such a queen, so it's making you glow even more.
shift. so
Wonderful.
when I so when I started was a forgiveness coach, I actually realized it through a friend. So it was a couple of other people who said that they wanted to get into coaching and different things. And so I was like, well, why don't you? And this was when I published my first book. And so I started, they heard how I started publishing my book because everybody always say, well, I've been wanting to write my story. I've been wanting to write my story. And I said, why
Mhm.
don't you just write it? They said, oh, it's expensive. No, it's not. It's free. And so I started there with her, and she's like, well, how did you do it? I said, well, first off, it took me a long time to write because writing actually was my therapy. And I was always
Mhm.
writing and jotting down like my forgiveness stages, what I was learning from my kids, because parenting for me was actually learning from my kids. And when I was learning from my kids' lessons, that's how I was learning to forgive because I was like for instance, one was I used to hate God for the story of Cain and Abel because it was like why he
Mhm.
didn't get justice for Abel, why he didn't stop that.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so then I did an experiment with my kids trying to teach them the story. And I said, well, let's just teach this story. I don't know how the story is going to go because I already know how I feel about it. But I didn't think that my mind was going to be changed about it. But then I had my kids, I said, bring me your favorite toy. Know that you're going to let me keep it forever. It's going to be mine, but it has to be your favorite toy. So they came and brought their toys to me. My son, he was like, Mom, I'm giving you my favorite toy. He's crying. I'm giving you my favorite toy, but you're going to love it. You're going to enjoy it. And I can come play with it with you with it sometime. Right?
You said
So so my daughter, she comes bring me her toy, and her toy is this Barbie doll with marker all over it, and her hair is all cut up. And she says, "It's not my favorite toy. You can't have that, but you can have this." And think she's still got a little bit more hair on there that you could cut off. I said, I said, but I asked for your favorite toy. And
yeah.
she was like, I can't give you that, Mom. And then I said, well, I said, are you jealous that your brother's going to get a reward from me and not you? She's like, a little. I am because I think I deserve a reward too. So, like, when she did that, I just started crying. It was like funny, but I was crying because at that moment, I was like, I understand. I understand because I could never see punishing her or trying to, give her some extreme punishment because they're both my children and I love them both. And although I would want one to do better, and I
Right.
know as she grow up, she will learn and do better, and he
Mhm.
might be already there. I can't, I
Yes.
couldn't. So
It's yeah, because you're dealing with two different personalities, two different individuals. So, but they're both your child.
yeah.
So I totally, but that's funny how she's like, no, you can have this one, but you're not getting my favorite.
So
So
that's
I'll
how
deal with whatever has any kind of circumstances that have to be behind that. So she was ready. She was ready. But
So
yeah,
when
definitely, I
I
love
sat
that.
down and I thought about what my purpose is, I was like, how come my purpose can't be a forgiveness coach? How come my purpose can't be forgiveness? That's still a purpose in life. You
Oh yeah.
know, I'm some people look for, am I a writer, am I a doctor, am I a lawyer?
Mhm.
But there are special people out here. There are people out here who care genuinely for other people, and that could just be your purpose.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong or insignificant about that. And
Mhm.
so it was like through those experiences, and then when my friend, she started writing her book, and then I told her like it was free, like because I found out about self-publishing books. So I said, you publish the book, and then people buy it, and they, whatever price you set, they take their portion of the money, and then they send you the remainder. And so I said, so it's free.
Mhm.
And that's
Yes.
how I came
So there's
to
no excuse.
that.
So basically, it's like there's no excuse. You can write your book.
Yes.
You can get your story out there for people to learn and get that hope. I always tell people your story is like everything that you said, Ilona, with your story, what you went through, what you're dealing with. And I love that you're just forgiveness coach because I think we need more coaches like that. I really think that we need more people to walk us through that journey of forgiveness because there's
Yeah.
so many people that are holding on to things that's really messing them up inside. It's really tearing them up inside. And I
Yeah.
can say that because I'll just real quickly, my mother, God rest her soul, she went through that for over 40 years of her life because of my dad. My mother and dad got a divorce after 10 years of marriage. And basically it was she basically found somebody else. Okay. And he was very
Yeah.
hurt. He really loved her. But the happened was with the ages, my age of 17, my father basically, I always say he was taken. And what I mean by that, he was murdered.
Yeah.
And at the age of 17, that really crushed me because he was just my all. But then
Sorry
my
to hear that.
mother, she was, thank you so much. She started hurting because she felt like maybe if she didn't get that divorce from him and we were all still together, that wouldn't have happened. And she
Mm.
held that all her
Wow.
life to the day she passed away.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, and I tell people, I said, you cannot hold that will just eat you up inside if you keep holding on
Yes.
because first of all, it wasn't her fault. I mean, some people. I mean, I tried to even blame her, which was bad on me because because I was missing my dad, so I was just looking for anybody to blame.
Yeah.
Um, and that's was just how it was. I just admitted that I was like, I was just blaming anybody, the police officer, the fireman, everybody in that
Yes.
time. I was blaming them because I'm like, my dad's gone. And she was one, and with that, I think that put more on her too. Until I had to ask her to forgive me on that level, but she
Yeah.
never forgave herself, and she never moved on. So, coaches, going back to coaches like what you do is so important. And that's why I love bringing the coaches on because you learn the different types of coaches. Because a lot of people think there's only like two sets of coaches, but there's so many more that's helping so many people in certain situations that we need help in to move and guide
Yes.
us.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
So I commend you for that, and I want you to just know that you are making a difference in a lot of people's lives and what you do as you maneuver and help them understand what forgiveness is about. And it's a process. It's a
Yes, it
process.
is.
It's a process.
It's not
So
overnight.
it's not over. Yeah, some people are like, "Ding, I'm okay now." Like, no, it don't work that way.
Right.
You got to give people's expectations up front, right? It's like,
Right.
I don't
Yes.
because you'll be like, "What? I thought this was gonna happen in like 2 hours. What is happening?" Like, no.
I tried this for a day and it didn't work. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way.
It didn't work, Alona. So I'm done. It's like
Right.
what?
Yes.
Even a plant takes days to grow. I keep telling
Right.
people. It's like
The baby
really.
in your womb.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Babies, everything. So, but now real quickly, because I know with time, but I really want to just get just a little into now because I know of you doing the coaching part. But again, you're a candidate for a governorship. So just a little
Yes.
bit of that. I just want to get some awareness for people for you on that one.
Okay. Um, Well, when I was homeschooling my kids, I did a lot of homeschooling and politics, and it wasn't really because I was into politics. It was just one day I had a situation with a police officer, and I was yelling at the police officer because my neighbor was saying, racial slurs to a child on the street and tried to run him over. So we, the neighbors, like a group of us neighbors, witnessed it. So we were telling the police, and then he was still out there yelling those slurs and threatening to kill the kid. And so I was like, you're not going to do anything. Like I was just very upset. And yeah, and I had my hands in the police face just yelling. So he took me and like he slammed me on the ground, and they were like dragging me across the ground. And it was like, stop resisting arrest. And I said, I'm not resisting arrest, because when they were bending my arm, it was bending it like the way that it would break. And I was just trying to twist my body a little so my arm wouldn't break, because they kept bending it.
Yeah.
And so when they finally let me up, and then after a while they took me out the cuffs, then I went down there to the sheriff's department. Oh, I took my kids. I said, you see these two kids right here? I will burn this city down about them all by myself. Like I was just going off, And so when the sheriff, yeah. So the sheriff came out, and he was like, everybody back up. She's fine. I got her. And so he was talking to me, and he was like, the problem is that people don't ever fill out, they come upset, but they never fill out a complaint. And he said, in order for something to happen to a police officer, there has to be a trail of complaints, because it has to show a pattern of character. But he says nobody never fills out one. I said, well, I'm filling out one today, And then he said, you do know that we do have our I think police meetings, and it's open to the public. You can come in and express what's happened, so that way our board can discuss ways to remedies type of things, and the way we're seeing in the community. And so from there, I started going to police meetings, to city council meetings, to state, state meetings and I would take my kids, and I'd tell my kids, well, figure out something to ask a question. It doesn't matter if it's a simple question, just go up there and ask type thing, just to get them involved. And then I created my own nonprofit, which was in Florida at the time, Citrus County Youth Community Alliance. And it was about making impossible things mean I'm possible. And what that meant was pretty much, don't complain about the system. Let's find solutions for the system. So I had a state representative who would come in and teach us how to write legislative bills, how to do research on different bills that will, that are, are good bills that have been passed, that actually work and have made progress, and how to implement those in the bills to get yours passed type thing. And then I remember thinking in my head, I remember in school when we did American government, I always thought the people on TV, the sessions that they would show us, I thought they were actors. I didn't know that they were real. So I was like, oh, these people are actually real. So when my kids graduated from homeschool and went to college, we all went to college together. And while I was in college, I actually wrote a proposal for a bill, which is now being worked on to be turned into a bill. And I've also spoken before Congress on different issues, because, I know people always think that we are a democratic state, but we are not a democratic country. We are actually a republic. The thing about if we were a democratic country, then we would be mob rule, meaning just like, like in the story of Bible of Jesus, when they said, who do we crucify? That's a democratic state. But the part of democratic state would be our voting system of the majority. And what a republic means is it's supposed to look out for the minority of, so that way their rights don't get crushed. So that's why it's important to have both Democrat and Republic. And people always think that we want to be all Democrat or all Republic. No, we don't. We want a balance of the both. And right now, what I'm seeing in this country, we have a lot of both sides thinking they want it to be only their side, as opposed to a understanding that we need each other to balance it out, and to make sure that one of the other smaller voices are not being suppressed. And So that's why I decided to run.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'm. You know what? This is in Washington, right? You're going for governor in Washington. I
Yes,
wish I
Washington.
lived there so I can I can vote. So I wish I lived there right now. Oh my God, lady, you have to. And you know what? Again, I love how you said, we don't want the small voices to be taken away, and that's what I always have fearful. I'm fearful of is
Yes.
that our small voices like you. I mean, you started just going to the police station saying, "Look, you are not gonna be messing with my children, and I want to make sure." And from that point, you see, this is the thing that I loved about what had happened with that. Now, usually, and I'm just going to be was this open here,
Yes.
especially with the black race, we it tends to go another route, or we've been put in
Right.
jail, or now we're go court now, all that kind of stuff going on. But he took the time. The police officer said, "You know what? You need to start to report this." So it
Yeah.
can be in writing and we can see the like you said, what's going on with this police officer or whoever, so they can know what's going on paper wise, and it's there in black and white. A lot of people don't understand that. Some people don't understand it. They just go there to get upset, and then next thing you know, it goes a different route. So you found that out, and then you started going to the meetings, and then you
Yes.
put your voice out there, and then you
Yeah.
had your children. This is what I'm loving. You had them asking questions, so they're also learning the process as you're going through your process of it, so to get to the point where you started doing statement. I mean, it just went to that level, and that's why I commend you for that, because a lot of us need to follow that footstep if we are having that, if we want our voice to really be heard, because it's not about this, it's about talking and making
Right.
sure that people understand and having those conversations. See, you're having
Yes.
those conversations.
Yes. And what I want people to know too is that it's not always easy doing the things that you feel that you have a purpose to do or know that you have a purpose to do. Like if like getting my book, that was a struggle. I constantly had to go through rewriting and rewriting because my first time my computer crashed, and I'm 100 pages in, so I had to start all over. Next time, we had those floppy disks back then, and
Oh,
that got destroyed, and I'm like, oh man. So at one point I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm not just gonna write this book. Forget it. And then I was like, you know what? If I just write a little by day and just not care, and then I think the final time when I finally wrote it and got it all down was when I said, maybe okay, before I was just writing my book from beginning to end. But the way I started this one off was I think I was angry one day, and I would like snap on people. I would go from 0 to 100 in a split second and feel justified it and have no remorse about it later. And so I started writing, and I said, okay, I started writing present, past, future. And
mm,
that's how I do my forgiveness is I write presently what it is that I don't like about my behavior, about myself, or, any of those things. So I had wrote, but it connects with your five senses because when you're doing your perception is all connected to your five senses. So I will write what I see, smell, hear whenever I'm in those moments. So in those moments when I'm angry, I see nothing but red.
mm,
When my heart will beat, I could feel the beads of my sweat break through my skin, like I could literally feel it, like piercing. And I all five senses I will break down. And then I say, well, when was the very first time I ever felt that in my childhood? And I go back to the earliest childhood that I can think of. And sometimes it wouldn't be just one incident, it would be a couple of incidences. And then
mm,
I would I would weep because I would like that's when my perception and my foundational thinking of who I am and why people treat me this way or why I deserve it, came up with that. And so then I said, okay, now I want to think opposite. When something like this happens, or I meet someone or someone
mm,
triggers me in this sense, it's not that person, it's my past. So
mm,
how do I want to now see this? And then I gave like myself, different things of maybe they're going through this, or maybe they're not even really feeling that way, or maybe I triggered them, like, so I would come up with different things. And then as I would go over those things, then I started seeing people and loving people for who they are. And that's how my book ended up becoming and ended up getting finished, was past, present, past, and future.
Ooh, that was a drop mic. I love that. I love how you put it where you said probably not, it might not be them, it might be something from my past that's triggering something.
Yes.
Oh, that is such a mic drop because you're so right. And I have to do, it's funny you said it because I do that too.
Yeah.
I have to separate that a lot of
Yeah.
times.
And I know even like now for running for governor, and like I said, people don't make things easy. And when I would ask, I said, so well, how do I run for governor? I've helped different people on giving advice for their different campaigns and stuff. And it was like, oh, just start at the bottom and go work your way to the top. And so I'm like, I said, but still, how do I run for governor? Like, what things? Nobody would tell me. So I started doing my own research, and I said, okay, well, you're telling me to start at the bottom, but right here it says all you need to be is 18 or older, a registered voter, and reside where you want to run. And I said, I meet all three of those qualifications. So how do I run for governor? And then I asked them, how did you get the position? Did you start at the bottom? No, I went for what I wanted. And I said, well, now I feel disrespected that you would tell me to start at the bottom, but you are allowed to go for what it is that you want. So I did my own research and I filed, and I said, I'm running for governor. So so that's how, you have people who don't, if
Got it.
nobody else
Yeah.
will be my support, I'll be my own support. I've learned to
Yes.
do that throughout my life anyhow.
Throughout your life, like you said, this is no thing. This is, I'm used to. I have to research, look at this stuff, really get into it. And I love how you said that. I mean, I'm telling you, we're like sisters. I do the same thing. You have to just, if you want it and you believe that it's you to do this, then you
Yes.
find ways. You find ways around that. And it's sad how people, some people, I'm not gonna say everybody, that will not help. And see, that's why I always tell, we need to collaborate more. Stop all
Yes.
that. Well, you need to start from the bottom. You can do what you got to do. You got to go where. I was like, really? You could just tell me age, state, where I need to reside in this, and I can just.
Yeah.
No, you had to, go a different route. So I'm glad that you took on and said, I want to do this, and
Yes.
any means necessary. And then you found a way and just, researched it. Like I tell people, Google University is powerful sometimes.
Yeah, right. That's what I say. I'm Google PhD certified.
We all got that certification. It's like Google certified or
Yes.
YouTube certified. I mean, either or, you're gonna find it. Because I tell people, if you don't know, just type something in, just type a word in there. You'll find. It's a lot of people got the information on it. So wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful. So, lady, I just want to, before we end, I always want to like give you 30 seconds just to give some last, maybe ideas or thoughts for the audience, and then we'll just close so they can make sure they know how to contact you, and then we'll move from that point. So I'm going to take myself down. I'll be right back.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I just want you to always be a promotion and not the emotion. My book and my coaching is all about being a promotion of forgiveness and not the emotion of a traumatic past. But you can always take that and implement that in whatever part of your life that you're experiencing. If it's you want to be a doctor and you feel like, oh, you don't have those credentials or you're not good enough, then start going to school. It's all about taking those steps forward. I remember when I started, I could be sitting here complaining or using excuses of fear. And I want you to know that fear is just there to challenge you. It's not there to hold you back. So if you think of fear as a positive, rather than a negative, as well as failure, failure is not failure, unless you just give up and don't do anything else, failure is actually a small win because you're learning along the way to be able to get that victorious win that you're going for. And so just always remember, be a promotion and not the emotion of a traumatic past. And yeah, thank you.
Wow. Sorry about that. I was all into what you were saying. I was like, I want more, I want more, I want more.
If I keep going, then I go over the time. So I'm like,
I
I'm gonna give
know.
you
I
that
was
bit
like,
today.
I said, oh, I said I want more, but we can't because I know you. We both gotta go. But thank you so much, Queen, for coming on my show and just being that celebrity today for me. So you just put a smile. I mean, you just made my whole weekend. I just don't know, but
Thank
you
you.
did. Yeah, and I want to welcome you back. I mean, if you
Yes.
need any help, I mean, I know I'm not in the state that you're running, but I mean, I'm always want to be here as a cheerleader. If there's anything I can do, if you want to come back and talk more about that and what you're running for, and we can always give you clips for that so you can promote
Yes.
yourself. Let's do this. I mean, we need to come together,
Yes.
especially as women, and help each other out. This
Yes.
is crazy how we want to be in our own little what. No, stop that. We need the
Right.
help. So, if you're going for that, I'm with you all the way. I'm cheering for you. And wherever I can help in that capacity, please let me know. And I'm there for you.
Like my kids, they're my biggest cheerleaders. So, Mom, after you do governor, are you going to run for president? I said,
Mhm.
well, let me do governor first. If I get good at governor and I show everybody what I can do for Washington State, then I go next.
Woo! Lady, if you go from governor to president, and then I just, you came on my show, can you believe that? I'm going to be like, oh my God, I just talked to the president of the United States that's
Right.
I said, oh my God,
That's what I said. I was confident to shoot for governor. Let me start there. That's what I told them. I said, let me build my confidence.
but you know what? It seemed like it just happens though. Sometimes you just don't.
Yes.
While you're going down this road and you believe in your heart so much of what you're trying to do for the country, I can just see alone that you can just skate right up there to that level that you're trying to do. I mean, I really could see that. I mean, I know it
Yes.
takes steps, as we all know, but you're taking the right steps. And the biggest step that you're taking is you have a heart. You have and that's a lot of. I wish a lot of other, politicians real quickly would have. I mean, not say they don't. I know some politicians that
Right.
do, but if a lot more would kind of take what you do,
Yes.
we would really be much better in a lot of things that's going on with out there right now. So I just want to commend you and encourage you to just keep going and just follow your heart, follow your purpose of what you're doing, and it's
Yes.
going to take you to where you need to go. It really is. So. But yeah, so people, please contact. I have your email address below. But if is there any other contact information you want to say?
Um, I'm also on Facebook. My coaching page, in which I mostly haven't been on there a lot too much lately because I'm working on governor, but I still go on there and I check and try to post. But my Facebook page is facebook.com/lovealways.forgiving. And then I also have a governor's page, which is just my name, Ilona Kearney, for governor. So it's
Okay.
facebook.com/Ilona Kearney, but my website is ilonakearney.com without the hyphen in there because, it won't let you do that. So,
Yeah, I know. I hate that. I love
yeah,
people with the hyphen, but sometimes you can't put it in there. But I just want to tell everybody this is where I got to come and tell the audience. So just forgive me. Please reach out to this queen. You see what she's doing a lot in the world, in the universe, as far as a forgiveness coach, as a best-selling author that she's been putting her story out there so people could have hope. And then now she's going for a candidate for the governor to make a difference, to make a change that is needed, that we all know is needed. So reach out to her, look on her platforms. If you don't know, if you're like, well, Barbara, I didn't see the email, whatever, there's no excuse because you could reach out to me and I could reach out to her. So with that said, lady, thank you so much for coming on. I wish you much and much total blessings upon you, your family, and we will talk soon. Thank you.
thank you.